Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something that is honestly pretty mind-boggling. What if I told you that billionaires, and self-made millionaires too, still actively hunt for discounts? Like they avoid wasting money and yeah, some of them literally still clip coupons. It sounds completely backwards, right? But today, we're going to unpack exactly why the world's wealthiest people fiercely protect their cash, and more importantly, how you can use their secret habits to completely transform your own financial future. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The Billionaire Saving Paradox. So we are constantly fed this Hollywood myth, right? This idea that rich people are just out there blowing money on giant mansions and private jets every single day. But I really want you to honestly ask yourself a question. If someone has literally billions of dollars sitting in the bank, do they still look for discounts? I mean, why even bother comparing prices or flying commercial? From the outside looking in, it just seems ridiculous. Well, the answer is incredibly simple. Saving money isn't just some weird, quirky habit they picked up along the way. It is the absolute foundation of true wealth. The reality is, careful money management is exactly how they became rich in the first place. You see, they didn't get wealthy by accident. They got there by being highly intentional with every single dollar. Moving on to Section 2, the secret wealth formula. What's really fascinating here is how incredibly simple the core habit of self-made millionaires actually is. It is not some complex algorithm. It's really just an infinite loop. Step 1, make money. Step 2, save money. Step 3, invest money. And step 4, repeat. That's the whole shebang. Instead of spending every single dollar on lifestyle upgrades, they funnel their cash right back into investments to create even more wealth. It's a continuous, totally disciplined cycle. Section 3. The tale of two earners. To really grasp the impact of that formula, let's think about two hypothetical people who earn the exact same salary. Okay, so person A earns a great living, but spends absolutely everything on luxury cars, expensive clothes, dining out, you name it. Then you have person B, who has the discipline to save and invest 20% of every single paycheck before they spend a dime on anything else. These are totally different daily habits, right? Now, fast forward 10 or 20 years, and the results perfectly illustrate the absolute magic of compound growth. The financial gap between them is just staggering. Person B has built a massive investment portfolio because every single saved dollar compounded over time. Meanwhile, person A's portfolio is sitting at near zero, and despite earning a really great income, they might actually still be struggling financially. Millionaires understand that a dollar saved today is worth much more in the future. Section 4. How to stay rich. So the absolutely crucial point we need to get here is that a billionaire's goal isn't to look rich. Their goal is to stay rich. They protect their wealth by rigorously spending less than they earn, and they invest consistently, whether the economy is booming or tanking. They completely avoid unnecessary expenses. I mean, that's exactly why you'll often hear about incredibly wealthy people driving older, reliable cars and avoiding flashy designer labels. Above all, they think long-term. They will gladly skip the short-term dopamine hit of showing off today just to protect their capital for tomorrow. Section 5. The true millionaire mindset. To really understand how they stick to those rules, we've got to look under the hood at their psychology. And honestly, this is the starkest contrast in thinking you will ever see. When the average person gets a raise, their very first thought is, awesome, how can I spend more? But when a millionaire gets a windfall, they ask, how can I make this money grow? They do not view money as a ticket to endless consumption. To them, it's a tool, pure and simple. I absolutely love this next concept. Think of your money as an employee. If you spend $1 on some fancy coffee you don't really need, well, you just fired that employee forever. But every single dollar you save and invest becomes a tiny, tireless worker in your own financial army. Those dollars are out there working for you 24/7, creating more money through investments and appreciating assets. The wealthier you get, the bigger your army of dollar employees becomes. It's brilliant. Section 6. Start acting like a billionaire. So, what does this all mean for you? How can you start applying these exact billionaire habits today, even if your bank account is nowhere near $1 billion? Well, it all starts with one magic number, 20%. By anchoring your personal goal to saving at least 20% of your income right off the bat, like before you pay for your lifestyle, you're officially adopting the core habit of a self-made millionaire. Here is a totally straightforward 5-step playbook that literally anyone can adopt. Number 1, lock in that 20% savings rate. 2, drop the ego and stop buying things just to impress other people. 3, invest regularly and just let compound interest do the heavy lifting for you. 4, prioritize long-term wealth over short-term pleasure. And 5, make it an automatic habit. You honestly don't need a massive salary to start running this playbook. You just need discipline. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this absolute mic drop realization. Getting rich is hard, for sure. But staying rich requires serious discipline. The path to true wealth isn't actually about how much money you make. It is entirely about how much money you keep, save, and invest. So take a hard look at your spending habits this week and ask yourself a serious question. Are you building an unstoppable army of dollars working for your future, or are you sending them away forever for just a quick moment of instant gratification? Start today, and I promise you, your future self will thank you. So what if I told you that most millionaires out there don't actually become rich just because they earn millions of dollars? I know, right? It sounds totally backward. But the absolute biggest secret of wealthy people, it's really not how much they make. It's how incredibly carefully they use every single dollar they earn. They get rich because, well, they literally just don't waste money. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to break down the actual real-world blueprint of wealth building. We're looking at the habits, the underlying math, and the daily psychology that separates the people who build enduring fortunes from folks who are, constantly stressed about that next paycheck. Okay, let's dive right into this. Do you actually need millions to be rich? Because society is constantly pushing this narrative, right? That to be wealthy, you've got to invent the next big app, or win the lottery, or land some massive multi-million-dollar salary. But guys, that is one of the absolute biggest and honestly most dangerous misconceptions out there. Building wealth, it's not about some massive influx of cash coming in. It's entirely about the retention of it. Think about it. If you earn $1 million, but you spend $1,000,001, you're not rich. You're just highly leveraged and completely in debt. We need to completely reframe how we think about wealth. It is not about the top line of what you bring in. It's all about the bottom line of what you actually keep. To really see how this plays out in the real world, let me paint a picture for you. Let's look at two friends, James and Michael. Now, both these guys have great careers. Actually, they earn the exact same amount of money every single month. But their financial operating systems, completely night and day. See, James loves that quick dopamine hit of a new purchase. Pretty much every time he gets paid, boom, he's out buying the newest phone, the flashy clothes, just all those luxury items he really doesn't need. He is aggressively buying the appearance of wealth. But Michael, on the other hand, lives entirely differently. He just buys what he truly needs. Then, he intentionally saves a chunk of his income, and he invests the rest. So same exact income, but completely different mindsets. So, fast forward exactly 5 years, and wow, the contrast is absolutely staggering. James, he's still living totally paycheck to paycheck, and his net worth has basically just flatlined. I mean, sure, he's got a closet full of depreciating liabilities, but very little actual real security. Meanwhile, Michael's wealth is just soaring. He's built up this massive investment account, and he actually owns assets that generate their own independent income. So what actually changed their lives? Well, it wasn't luck, and it definitely wasn't a bigger salary, because remember, they started with the exact same paycheck. It literally all came down to just one fundamental behavioral trait. Michael didn't waste his money. James was out buying things that lost value the second he walked out of the store, while Michael, he was buying things that actually increased in value. And this brings us to a super foundational mindset of the self-made wealthy. It's this: money is a tool, not a toy. Seriously, if you treat your money like a toy, you play with it, use it for immediate entertainment, and eventually, well, it's gone or it's broken. But the moment you start viewing money as a tool, your entire economic reality shifts. Wealthy people view every single dollar they save as a tiny little worker. When you save a dollar, you can invest it. Every investment can grow. And every single growing investment is essentially working around the clock, 24/7, to bring you closer to complete financial freedom. That right there is exactly why wealthy people completely avoid unnecessary expenses. They aren't just hoarding cash under a mattress. They are purposefully gathering tools to build up their assets. And this brilliantly illustrates what I like to call the secret formula of wealth. And honestly, it is so remarkably simple that most people completely overlook it, thinking there just has to be some hidden trick. But here it is. Earn, save, invest, repeat. That is literally it. Instead of buying things that drop in value, millionaires just prefer buying assets that can make them even more money. They earn their paycheck, they immediately save a portion, they deploy those savings into high-quality investments, and then they just relentlessly repeat the cycle. They know that small disciplined savings today, when you push them through this specific 4-step loop, well, they can become an absolute fortune tomorrow. It's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme, it's a get-rich-for-sure system. And all of this builds into something truly spectacular: compound growth. I mean, did you know that Warren Buffett made over 90% of his massive wealth after his 65th birthday? That is the absolute magic of compound interest at work. Money that is saved and invested just keeps growing year after year. Basically, your money earns money. And then the money your money made, it makes even more money. It's this crazy, continuous snowball effect. It takes those small, disciplined savings we were just talking about and turns them into a massive financial fortress over time. Without compound growth, you're stuck doing all the heavy lifting yourself through your own labor. But with it, time and math are doing all the heavy lifting for you. Because they so deeply understand this compound growth, millionaires just naturally think long-term. Instead of asking, oh, what can I buy today? They ask a completely different question. They ask, what will this money become in 10 years? When they hold a $100 bill, they aren't picturing a fancy dinner or a new pair of shoes. No, they are visualizing the future value of that capital. They're thinking, if I invest this $100 right now, what is it going to grow into a decade from now? It is a total paradigm shift. Honestly, every time you're tempted to waste money on something trivial, try asking yourself this exact question. You will be amazed at how quickly your desire to spend just totally fades away when you realize you're actually robbing your future self of thousands of dollars. So practically applying all this really just comes down to a few non-negotiable daily habits. First and foremost, you've got to spend less than you earn. It's the golden, absolutely unbreakable rule of wealth creation. Following that is completely avoiding the trap of buying things just to impress other people. I mean, truly wealthy people, they don't care about looking rich, they only care about actually being rich. Then, it's about ruthlessly saving a percentage of every single paycheck without fail and investing that money regularly to feed that compound growth engine we talked about. Ultimately, the whole shebang ties together by keeping a laser focus on building long-term wealth rather than just chasing that fleeting, short-term gratification. These are super accessible, practical habits that literally anyone can start implementing today. Now, this right here is where the rubber really meets the road. Average earners generally get paid, they spend on their lifestyle, and then they just kind of hope to save whatever is left over at the end of the month, which, let's be real, is usually absolutely nothing. But millionaires, they completely flip the script. They save and invest first. The second that paycheck hits their account, boom, the investments are funded automatically. Then, and only then, do they spend whatever's left on their lifestyle. That tiny, incredibly simple behavioral flip is the absolute biggest difference in personal finance. Just changing the order like that creates an unbelievably massive gap in wealth over the course of a lifetime. So the absolutely crucial point to take away is exactly this. Every dollar wasted today is an opportunity lost tomorrow. Millionaires don't waste money because they understand this deeply, like on a psychological level. Building wealth isn't actually about earning some huge astronomical income. It is entirely about making smart, intentional decisions with the money you already have in your hands right now. It's recognizing that, the coffee you didn't really need or that gadget you bought out of pure boredom, well, that represents a literal piece of your financial freedom that you just casually traded away. Which leaves us with one final incredibly important question for you. Are you ready to let your money work for you? Because the journey to becoming a millionaire, it doesn't start with a sudden promotion or a lucky lottery ticket or some stroke of absolute genius. It starts with one simple, powerful habit. You have to start saving. You have to start investing. You need to stop wasting money and start building your wealth today. The tools are literally in your hands, the formula is crystal clear, and the math is completely on your side. So what are you going to do with your next paycheck?
Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously fascinating truth about building wealth. Now, if you think the world's richest people built their massive empires just by snagging the highest paying salaries, well, you're in for a bit of a surprise. We're going to break down the totally shocking reason why so many wealthy folks make it their absolute priority to save every single dollar they can.
So you might be asking yourself, wait, isn't earning more money the real secret here? It sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? I mean, we're basically trained to believe that a giant paycheck is the one and only ticket to financial freedom. But today, we're throwing that myth right out the window. Sure, earning more is awesome, but it's really just one tiny piece of the whole puzzle.
The actual secret is beautifully simple. The wealthy save every dollar they can because they deeply understand one golden rule. Every dollar saved today equals even more dollars tomorrow. They don't just look at a dollar bill and see a piece of paper. They see a seed. And they know that if they plant that seed correctly, it is practically guaranteed to multiply.
Section 1. A tale of two friends. Let's get right into it. To really see how this plays out in the real world, let's look at two friends, Alex and David. Now let's say both of these guys earn exactly $5,000 a month. So same exact starting line, right? But their habits are like night and day. Alex, he loves the flashy stuff. Expensive clothes, the newest gadgets, luxury vacations. By the time the month ends, his bank account is running on fumes. David, on the other hand, takes a totally different route. He skips the flashy stuff and prioritizes saving and investing in stocks and businesses. David's real secret weapon here is just pure discipline. He diligently sets aside 20% of his income every single month, no excuses. So while Alex is out there spending 100% of every paycheck, David figures out how to live comfortably on 80%, and he guards that saved 20% like it's his absolute most valuable asset.
Now let's fast forward and track this over time. In year 1, honestly, their lives look pretty much identical from the outside. By year 5, David's investments are quietly picking up steam. But jump to year 10, the difference is literally staggering. David now has this massive portfolio that's generating money for him while he sleeps. Meanwhile, Alex, he's still grinding away just to cover his basic monthly bills.
So, what really made the difference for David? It definitely wasn't a higher salary, and it absolutely wasn't luck. The one and only difference between a life of financial stress and a life of financial freedom was just that simple, repeatable habit of saving and investing every possible dollar.
Moving on to Section 2. Every dollar is a worker.
You know, most people think saving money means you just being cheap or depriving yourself of fun. But the rich, they look at it entirely differently. They see saving as putting their money to work. Seriously, think of every single dollar as a tiny, hardworking employee. If you spend it on something unnecessary, you're basically firing that worker. Poof, they're gone forever. But if you save and invest it, you're sending that worker out into the world to recruit even more dollars for you. That is exactly why millionaires hate wasting money on stuff that doesn't actually hold value.
And this creates a huge psychological shift. Your average person gets their paycheck and their first thought is, okay, what can I buy with this? But a wealthy person gets that exact same paycheck and thinks, how can I use this money to make me more money? It's a subtle switch, but it changes the entire game, shifting your brain to focus on acquiring assets and businesses that actually pay you.
All right, Section 3, the magic of compound growth.
This right here is the undisputed engine behind the millionaire mindset. Let's use a really concrete example. Imagine you commit to saving and investing just $500 every single month. Now that's a solid chunk of change, sure, but you definitely don't need a CEO's salary to pull it off. It's a totally achievable goal for a lot of people. Now let's take that monthly $500 investment and pair it with an average historical market return of, say, 10% per year. You aren't doing any heavy lifting here. You're just letting it sit, letting those tiny workers do their thing year after year, steadily compounding at 10%. The result of just being patient is absolutely mind-blowing. What starts out as this small, totally manageable monthly habit starts growing faster and faster in those middle years, and eventually it skyrockets into hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is why rich people are so incredibly patient. They know that real wealth isn't an overnight thing. It's built step by step, one saved dollar at a time.
Which brings us to Section 4, the ultimate wealth formula.
The really shocking truth about all this is that rich people aren't terrified of spending money, and they definitely aren't just stuffing cash under a mattress. They just follow this ridiculously simple loop. Ready? Step 1, earn. Step 2, save. Step 3, invest. Step 4, grow. And Step 5, repeat. Seriously, there's no secret handshake here. It's just a highly effective system that wealthy folks execute over and over and over again.
And finally, Section 5, your first step today.
Look, you absolutely do not need to be a millionaire today to start thinking like one. You can start literally right now. Make a habit of saving a slice of every single paycheck. Cut out that unnecessary spending that's firing your best workers. Invest consistently, even if it's just a little bit at first. Train yourself to think long-term instead of chasing that instant gratification. And most importantly, let your money actually work for you. Because at the end of the day, the road to financial freedom doesn't start by magically earning millions of dollars. It starts right here, today. So the big question is, are you ready to save your first dollar and give it a job? Keep that in mind the very next time you look at your paycheck.
Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to look at the true secret of the ultra-rich.
You know, everyone always focuses on how billionaires make their money. We hear endless stories about the next big startup, the massive tech IPO, or some brilliant invention that changed the world. But very few people ask a much more important question.
The question we should all really be asking is, how do billionaires stay rich? It's a completely different side of the equation, and I want to pose this crucial question directly to you to think about. The answer might actually surprise you. You see, billionaires stay rich because they don't just make money. They save it, they protect it, and they invest it incredibly wisely to keep it growing year after year.
Section 1. A Tale of Two Fortunes. Okay, let's dive into this.
To really understand how powerful this concept is, let's set up a powerful thought experiment. Imagine two people who each suddenly experience incredible luck and receive a massive fortune of exactly $10 million. Let's contrast how they handle their new wealth. The first person, they go absolutely wild. The moment that $10 million hits their bank account, they start buying luxury cars, expensive watches, and huge sprawling houses. They're spending their money specifically to impress everyone around them. But our second person, they take a completely different path. They definitely live comfortably, but they live carefully. They save a huge portion of that money and immediately put it to work, investing in businesses, stocks, and real estate. Fast forward 10 years. That first person who spent to impress, they've lost almost their entire fortune and are essentially broke. But our second person, they've actually doubled or even tripled their original $10 million.
The crucial point is this: making money is one skill, but keeping money is another skill entirely. Being a genius at earning a paycheck or starting a business literally does not automatically make you a genius at protecting those earnings. Earning wealth and protecting wealth require two completely different skill sets, and mastering the latter is the true hallmark of the ultra-wealthy.
Section 2. The Billionaire Mindset.
To understand how the ultra-wealthy fundamentally view their finances on a day-to-day basis, we've got to look at how they define capital. Billionaires don't see money as just a piece of paper or a digital number designed to be exchanged for toys and luxuries. No, they see money as an employee, and not just any employee. An employee that works for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without ever needing a break. They take their money and send it out into the world to work for them.
Because they view money as a tireless worker, they operate on this fundamental rule. Every dollar saved today can create more dollars tomorrow. Because more saved money brings more money back to them, wealthy people are surprisingly careful with their spending habits. They know that every time they spend a dollar on something unnecessary, they aren't just losing that dollar. They're essentially firing one of their best employees who could have been out there generating even more wealth for them.
Section 3. The Power of Compound Growth. This whole mindset relies heavily on a mathematical reality. True wealth is actually built through immense time and patience. The rich know that the secret isn't quick money. The real secret is letting your money grow for decades. They understand that even a very small return, when you reinvest it consistently over many years, has the power to turn millions into billions. They aren't looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. They are playing the long game, letting time do the heavy lifting.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it debunks a massive myth. It's a common misconception that saving money is only something you do when you don't earn a lot. But billionaires actively save, and they do it for 4 specific reasons. First, it gives them ultimate financial security. Second, it creates immediate opportunities to invest when a great deal comes along. Third, it acts as a fortress, protecting them during difficult economic times. And finally, it ensures their wealth simply keeps growing. They know firsthand that losing money is incredibly easy, but building it takes serious discipline.
Section 4. Habits that keep billionaires rich.
So we understand the mindset, but what does this look like in practice? Here are the 5 exact daily habits they use to build that discipline. Step 1. They spend less than they earn. No matter how massive their income gets, they avoid unnecessary spending. Step 2. They invest consistently. Their money is always out there working in assets and stocks. Step 3. They think long-term, focusing on where their wealth will be in 10 or 20 years, not tomorrow. Step 4, and this is a big one, they avoid lifestyle inflation. As their income increases, they do not increase their spending at the same speed. And step 5, they protect their wealth. They achieve this by diversifying their investments and strictly avoiding reckless financial risks.
Section 5, the formula of wealth. Let's move to this and see how it builds.
All of those habits build into an overarching strategy, an exact cycle that allows their money to multiply year after year. It's astonishingly simple, but undeniably powerful. First, you earn. Then, crucially, you save a portion of those earnings. Next, you invest those savings so they begin to grow. And then, you repeat the entire process. Earn, save, invest, grow, repeat. Most billionaires follow this exact, simple, repeating formula to continually compound their fortunes. They just keep turning the crank on this machine.
Section 6. Final lesson.
We've covered some incredible ground today looking at the hidden behaviors of the ultra-rich, but now it's time to connect this billionaire mindset directly to you. The biggest financial secret of billionaires isn't earning more money, it's keeping more of what they earn. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need billions of dollars to apply this lesson to your own life. You can start today using these 4 actionable steps. Save a part of every single paycheck. Ruthlessly avoid unnecessary expenses. Invest what you save regularly, and constantly train yourself to think long-term. Anyone can start using these steps immediately to totally change their financial trajectory.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to really cement what we've learned today. Wealth isn't built by how much you spend. Wealth is built by how much you keep, save, and invest. That is the true secret to how billionaires stay rich. So as you go about your week, ask yourself, are you focused on spending your wealth, or are you focused on keeping it? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I hope this inspires you to rethink your own financial habits.